We're in Greenwich on the River Thames, between Greenwich and Dartford, and behind us on the River Thames was where in the 19th century the Dreadnought hospital ship was moored between the 1830s and the 1870s. The hospital ship was set up by the Seamen's Hospital Society, which was created in the 1820s, to look after the welfare of sailors. And these ships were a place where sailors could be quarantined and treated for diseases, and put back into health and put back into service on the ships that came into London. The ships also served as a place of protection for the rest of London. The sailors, if they were quarantined here, would not be a danger to the public of London. The ships themselves were ex-warships from the British Navy, hulks with their moorings and masts taken down. And one of the early problems for the society was really sort of reassuring people of the presence of the hospital ship on the Thames, due to the fact that hulks in those days were closely associated with transportation of prisoners to Australia. The hulks were where they were kept before journeying off to Australia. So from the 1830s, when the first hospital ship was put in place on the Thames here, to 1872, when the last ship was taken away, for 40 years these ships existed, these hulks were moored here to treat sailors from all nations. Intriguingly, the tropical diseases people perhaps feared that they'd be treated for was maybe not the most cases they had on board the boats. When they did have cholera outbreaks, they would have separate ships where the sailors could be quarantined. But what really was treated by the sailors who were on board these boats was things like scurvy, venereal diseases, injuries at sea really when falling off masts and so on. But the sailors were treated on these ships, patched up, then set off to sail again. In the 19th century, London was arguably the busiest port in the world, and the Thames, as a result, was a tremendously busy river. In the 19th century then, the river would have been noisy, would have been tremendously busy, an odd place then for a hospital ship to be moored. The contemporary accounts don't talk much about this, though you have to imagine that it would have been not necessarily the pleasantest place for people to be treated, but this is where the ship was moored. The original hospital ship that's established in the 1830s is HMS Grampus, and it's replaced later by HMS Dreadnought. And that name catches on, and it's by the Dreadnought name that the hospital ships get known. So much so that when the Dreadnought is replaced, the next hospital ship that comes in its place is retitled the Dreadnought to keep awareness of it, because it's become the popular name for the hospital. The hospital ships were here for 40 years. In 1872, the last hospital ship was taken to Deptford to the Breakers Yard as a land hospital had been built to replace the hospital ship. In the 1890s, a branch of the hospital was set up near Royal Albert Dock, across the Thames near where London City Airport is now. That hospital in turn, 9 years later, became the site of the first London School of Tropical Medicine. And it's where tropical training in medicine really kick-started and established itself, and really became an important part of the British Empire's operation and the British Empire's attitude to medicine. I think what's really interesting about the Dreadnought story and the story of the hulks here on the Thames is that it's the missing factor from Greenwich's maritime and medical history. The Royal Observatory is still there, the Naval Hospital still stands, but the hulks have long gone. But what has remained is the education and learning and School of Tropical Medicine in London.